Broad topics, broad minds, broad hosts, but not just for broads. This is Broadscast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall.
Welcome to Broadscast. Hi, Kim Goldman.
Hello, Jackie McDougall.
Hi, everybody. I'm very excited about today's show because it's totally
You're very
different.
excited about every show.
I am excited about every show, but this is totally different. We're not going to cure cancer or
that was last week.
Like world peace but we are going to talk about some really fun but important topics. It's girl talk today. Girl talk. So we've got two guests, Renee Bowen, who many of you know as our amazing photographer and also the wife to our voiceover guy, Andrew Bowen.
Right.
And Jamie Cox is makeup artist extraordinaire. And
we all want Jackie to walk around and do our intros and promos for us because I'm like a whole other person.
so belly up to the mic, ladies. They're sharing a mic today because we have two guests in the studio.
We're like backup singers.
You are. You guys are the Dawn to our Tony Orlando.
Really? You're our Tennille to our captain? No.
Wow.
No, that's not really.
You're our who else gets? No one else gets back
No.
up. Anyway, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Both of you are perfect guests because you're both walking talk shows in itself. I always call myself, that's how I refer to myself, as a walking talk show because totally. I could be sort of an expert from experience on a lot of different topics. And you guys are both the same way, from parenting and special needs and weight loss and, girl bosses and,
we cover the whole
together blending families and single and all of it, and together you are just one big. So that's good.
Yeah, we often say that we should have a dash cam in the car because we're in the car all the time, all the time. So.
Well, because
maybe we'll do that one day.
You guys work together, so you're always on photo shoots, and Renee does them.
We're attached at the hip.
You are
the brain.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, which is good.
And
for
if
me.
you need to, you can also pick this up and take it out if that's easier.
I see. When I hold the microphone, I want to sing. I really,
Kim.
I know. I just want to.
Well, I have the illusion that I can sing, but you guys don't.
But when I hold it, I feel like that's what I'm doing. I feel like I want to sing. Anyway, yeah.
So the fact is that you have done photo shoots for us for Broadscast. You've done my personal family and both of our personal family photos. Right. You've done Kim's son's bar mitzvah photos.
Which I'm still cavelling over. I just pulled the Jewish thing out. Every time I look at them, I get more emotional. And then
whenever she talks about the bar mitzvah, she becomes a Jew.
I know.
It's
really
the only
cute.
time. Yeah. No, I just, what I love is, and I said it to you, you capture those moments, the goofy ones, the loving ones, and you're just in there,
Yeah,
and I just
all up in there.
No, but when I don't remember half the stuff, and so I appreciate being reminded of those moments. Yeah.
I'm glad. But that's the whole point, especially with events like that. You really do want to hire somebody who is going to be non-stop shooting because there's so many things that you miss. There's so
I've
many
never
things.
seen anybody so invasive and yet so not in the way at the same time.
I had a client tell me once, she's like, you're like a ghost. She's like, I don't see you, but then you're everywhere at the same time. And she's like, I don't even know how you got that. I was like, I don't know. It's like a ninja. I'm like a ninja photographer.
There you go. There's your new branding. So, but one of the things that you guys do most often is senior photos.
Yeah.
And I don't mean old people.
No, not senior citizens.
Although that would be adorable.
Right.
The seniors in high school. And I just remember, I don't know what you guys did, but for when I took my senior photos, it was awkward at best. Yeah. So, it was, you would go into the studio and you had no choice of where you went. Yeah. Actually, you had a choice, but
you could wear
there were two.
A shirt. You could wear your own shirt or the drape.
Yeah, unfortunately, they still do that. Yeah, they still do that in most of the high schools here. So, most of my clients who get, the senior photos that I do, they can't even really use them in their yearbook unless they buy an ad, but they do them anyway because it's really not about the photos. So when I saw that so many people hated their image, everybody hates them, and the school just wants everybody to look the same. They don't want anybody to have personality, which is really a shame. So I'm from Louisiana, like way back in the day when I had my senior photos done. They're awful, like they're funny, but it was actually like that. There's a white feathered boa.
There is a white feather boa in Renee's picture, and her hair is huge.
It's ginormous.
It takes up the whole picture.
Yes, but I just spit on you.
Oh,
But that's how it was back then. It's like, because we're the same age-ish. I think we're a couple years back. That's what it was. So it's
it was
great. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Well, and so I wanted to do something, everybody else in the whole country was doing like this senior portraits experience, and nobody in California was really doing them at all. Like, especially not in Santa Clarita, nobody was doing them. And I thought, I love working with teenagers and so does Jamie, because we're both teenagers. And I thought, what a great way to be able to give this awesome experience to them. So we take them out for the whole day. They get hair and makeup. We go off on location, and we all
become best friends too. It's like the most fun ever.
Well, there's something I remember you did pictures for me for a cover of a book I did, and I remember how nervous I hate getting my picture taken, and we didn't really know each other that well, and Jackie introduced us, and I remember there was wine at like 10 o'clock in the morning. But there is something, but there is something about the photographer, and Jamie, you come. I mean, you do amazing. Like I hate my skin and all that stuff.
You're so beautiful.
No, we're going to talk about it later, but like tips and stuff. But like I'm not confident in certain things. But when you do whatever you do, and it's not like a lot.
I just want you to feel like your best self,
right?
And that's what I do.
But there's something about the two of you and what you guys bring that makes people put at ease, and you can see that in the pictures. Is my point to all this. So like when it's as nervous as I am, I don't feel that when you guys show up, because you guys are just like you're friends, and so when you say you become besties, it's just easy, and I think that's important.
Well, I think we come with the intention of we want you to feel good. I know that's Renee's thing, and mine too. We want you to feel good and be comfortable, and
yeah. I mean, and I hear that a lot. We heard that just last week from one of our headshot clients. Mm-hmm. She found me on Yelp, even though she's like local. And I don't do a lot of corporate headshots, but I do, a few of them, and it's all usually by word of mouth. But she had found me on Yelp, and she told me about like this horrible experience that she had with another photographer, and how they were not, easy to speak to. They were a little pretentious, and I mean, like that's never okay. And so you're going to somebody, you're vulnerable as it is. This is not an actress. This is not somebody who loves having their photo taken.
Right.
This is somebody who needs to get it done because of work, and she is not happy to do it. She's like, fine, I will do it. And she goes to somebody, and they make her feel awful about herself. And so she waited like another almost year before she had to get it done. And now she's just, that was the best compliment, because she's like over the moon excited about Jamie's makeup and the images. She's like, I'm so excited to have like updated headshots after 13 years. Yeah. And she said that I like how down to earth you guys are. And that was really, that was a good compliment.
We giggle the whole time, and we really have a good time.
So, one thing I said to Kim when at her son's bar mitzvah, because like to watch all these people come together at, he's 13 years old, and celebrate him and, tell him how they feel about him. Like I said, I wish that there was some sort of ceremony for those of us who are not Jewish to share these feelings, because I think, wow, imagine at 13 years old, all of us knowing how people feel about us.
No, that's exactly it. And I stumbled onto like bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah photography like by accident. I grew up in Louisiana. I didn't even have Jewish friends. Like I didn't even know what that
Jewish
really?
people there.
Like there's no Jewish
barely
people
any
there.
Jewish people in our neighborhood.
Yeah, so I'm like, what? And so a friend of mine years ago, in like 2006, asked me, her photographer fell through, and she's like, I know you shoot weddings, will you just please do my daughter's bat mitzvah? I'm like, okay, but I have no idea, like the tradition's nothing. I have no idea. She's like, I will give you the cliff notes, it will be fine. And literally I've never advertised for it ever, and I have like shot hundreds of them at this point. I cried every single one. And the first like couple that I did, I was like, this is amazing. Like I have never witnessed anything like that before. I've never, like you just said, people telling them, like this huge celebration of this child, almost young adult, like on the precipice of young adulthood. And there's so much change that happens, as you know, at that age. And so this was well before my kids were teenagers, and I kept thinking the same thing. Why don't we have like something like this just because it's kind of amazing.
Well, don't you I mean, and here's where I'm ignorant on certain religions. I mean, there's a quinceañera, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then don't you in the Christian or Catholic church, don't you do like
you have a confirmation?
A confirmation,
but it's not the same.
Oh,
it's not at all.
But what I was going to kind of connect it to your photography and the experience that you and Jamie provide is that I feel like it's really important for everyone to go through that because it's very similar. You can actually compare it to the bar mitzvah because, you know, to feel good about yourself and to become comfortable and kind of let it go. And I mean, I've seen different photo shoots that we've done with you, and like I know which ones I feel better at and which ones I don't. And I just think it's such an experience to kind of get out of your own head and enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's really the whole goal, is to help, because we were working with teenagers. Most of my business is with teenagers, and so these are high school girls who everybody says, "Oh my God, they look so beautiful. They must be so confident." No, not at all. Like not at all. They're not at all. Like not even the ones that you would think, how would you ever not be confident? You're absolutely stunning, even like just the way you are, like at school, not with hair and makeup, and they are not. They're just fragile, and we all are. And I remember feeling like that in high school. I remember feeling like that a couple years ago, and like last week,
yesterday.
So like, what? We all have like these, you know, things.
I had no idea getting into
things.
this with Renee, working with her, like what a full circle moment it was going to be for me, because I was so not into myself in high school. Every move I made, I was so concerned with, oh my God, does my arm look fat? My legs are huge. Oh my God, I weighed 110 pounds in high school. Like, I was tiny and I was so self-conscious. And like when we started working together and I saw these girls and I was like, oh my God, I have an opportunity to tell them, you're good enough. You're beautiful. Appreciate this moment in your life.
Yeah, we often talk about this a lot, and not just like what we do for them, but like what they do for us.
Yes,
right. So, totally. They bring a lot to us. Like they don't even know,
right?
What
they have
do.
No idea.
And it's really, really kind of amazing to be able to have that input for them. You know, to have like a positive, because a lot of them, like you'd be surprised, like a lot of them. Even are dealing with very controlling moms who you can see it, like they're so uncomfortable
because you're
around
spending
each
the day
other.
with the mom too, right?
Oh yeah, mom.
So I was going to ask you that, like,
and I like that. I want her to come. I want her to be a part of. It's an experience. It's something, and sometimes dads come too, and that's really really sweet.
But when you
that's really
but when you see these girls come in, and you could see the difference in maybe the self-esteem or the confidence. How often is it directly correlated to how that mom is that day?
It's, I have a degree in psychology, so I'm like my armchair psychologist at these. Ask Jamie, I'm like, so this is happening, and Jamie literally should be a psychologist, by the way, because she's so good at it. So we always notice those little nuances, and yes, it has a lot to do with the family dynamic. We can usually tell right away, like we've done it long enough now, it's pretty easy for us to pick up on like what's going on here, if they're close, if they're not. But I
get right in there. I'm like asking mom questions. I have no holds barred. Like I'm like, so everything. Tell me. They will tell me their entire life story.
She's like a bartender or a hairdresser. I mean, she's like a hairstylist and makeup artist. They tell you everything.
To tell me everything, and that's
you do have your hands and your fingernails and our nose and our eyes.
Yes.
Like it's hard to like.
It's hard not to be touched,
I have to get to know these people. I have to get to know every person in 2 minutes.
Yep.
I got to know who you are. And I got to be able to figure out, what does this person want out of this day today? Same thing with her. Yeah. And that's why she's there.
And they have to trust us, you know?
They have to
but
trust
I also
us.
do a lot of intake beforehand. This has a lot to do with my business. Like I send out information.
I remember that questionnaire I had to talk about my family dynamics.
And that's nothing compared to what I send my seniors.
Yeah.
Like I ask them what kind of food they like, what they hate, what their pet peeves are, what their relationship is like with their mom.
Yeah.
That's one of my questions, because I want to know if is mom going to make you uncomfortable, or do you love mom? And, and even if you have a great relationship with mom, do you feel like you need to do it for her? Like, there's a whole lot of like psychology that goes into making this, really great, because it really is all about them. And I want them to have literally like the best day ever. So there's a lot of prep that goes into that and a lot of thinking.
Well, and that's what makes Renee so amazing at this too, is that she's the only one who goes above and beyond. This isn't just a scheduled shoot and we all just show up and it happens. She cares.
Do you ever see your own stuff creeping in to some of this when you're dealing with young women?
All the time. And it's like, Jamie will talk about this too, because we talk about this a lot, but it's like, I just want to beat my head against a wall. Sometimes it's so hard because I know that even though we can tell them you're beautiful, you're perfect the way you are, I know they can hear it and hopefully it'll get in there. But I also know that they probably won't really get it, because looking back at myself, Jamie was just talking about, being 110 pounds in high school. Yeah, same here. And my whole life at 110, 125, 135, 145, 150, always thought I was fat. Guess what I am now? More than that. And so guess what I did there? So I kept telling myself, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat. So guess what I did? I got fat. Yeah. So if we can just like reprogram our brains to not say these horrible things to ourselves all the time, maybe we'll start to believe them. Yeah, that's a big one.
Well, it's interesting. I was going back to Sam's bar mitzvah pictures. I chose to wear a particular dress that I felt really
and you
pretty
looked adorable in that dress.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I will tell you though, when I got the pictures back, I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I pull it down right there? And oh my God, look at my butt. And oh my God, there's but shaking your head, but we talk about this, like it is what I see. Yes. And even though you sent me, Jackie, such a cute text about like how hot I was, I'm like, I really like.
I used 2 T's, Kim. It was hot.
But it's funny where your brain goes. I was like, I can't believe Renee gave me a picture with my butt, and I was like, but I'm 45, and you know what? I rock this cute.
Your butt is amazing.
Well, and seriously. I appreciate
Kim
that.
has a great body.
But I had your butt once, but it was at birth.
It was at birth.
But my point is, like, I walked into that day feeling really beautiful.
Good.
But when I looked at the pictures, I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize that my thigh was like
amazing.
But what? And I appreciate that. Here I keep saying,
and I hate you for it.
But in my head, I look at it and I see like that one area, and I really have to turn away and just keep reminding myself.
You know why that is? Because you're a woman, and you know what other women see when they look at a picture of another woman.
Right.
You know, and
I think very critical of each other.
And I think that's what you're saying, and it bothers me that
that's
women.
That's not what I saw. What I saw were her hip bones and how they protrude because she's got such great abs.
Same. And
but I literally, I'm like, negatively, damn it, I can you're viewing it positively.
I can see her muscles through this dress. Like I can't handle it. I hate you.
Yeah.
But we've talked about this on the show because, we all have our, if you struggle with your weight, and I have, and Jamie, we're going to get into your story too. And Renee, you're talking about that. So, when you meet somebody like Kim, who is naturally thin and eats jelly beans for dinner sometimes, it's very easy for us, or I'll speak for myself, for me to kind of like blow off her insecurities. And I've discovered mostly on the show that it's not fair.
No.
Because she is just like us in, whatever she likes to walk backwards out of a room, but she's got her stuff. And I feel like I don't want to do a disservice to our listeners too, because not everybody has problems with their weight. So I just want to acknowledge the fact
I appreciate that. But part of it, and we've talked about this a lot, like just because I'm thin doesn't mean I don't have visions of myself that aren't entirely positive. And it doesn't mean that I don't wake up some days feeling really sexy and empowered, and other days I'm like today, like I hate my pants. I don't know why I keep putting these pants on. I hate the way they make me feel. But you know what I'm saying? Like
burn the pants.
I know, but I have stuff. Even though I am thin, I still have things. And so when people say like, oh my God, you're so thin, I'm like, I know, but I'm thin, but I still have stuff. Yeah. And it is really, and when you're around people that talk about their weight in different ways, it does make people that are of a different size feel self-conscious about what we say. And then I feel like I can't own my feelings. And so like when I look at those pictures, like I know I looked pretty, but like I still looked at the one area that I hate about my body. And it doesn't mean I'm fat. It just means I hate that one picture. Like I hate that part.
But as long as you're looking at it like, okay, that kind of sucks about me, but dang, look at the rest of me.
And I did
Like,
have those
come
moments
on.
because I was like, you know what? The joy in my face, like the connection I was feeling with my son, with my dad, with my friends, that stuff supersedes. But we all go to that one part, and so it makes me sad, like, because I work with teens in my other life, that like I know what you guys feel when you get these kids, like even as beautiful as
so
they
hard.
look in the inside,
especially when you see them with really horrible boyfriends.
Oh God.
Like when you see them putting, I mean, it's hard enough because I have 3 teenagers. It's hard enough to deal with my own kids, and they're like, you know, as like mama bear, like, oh my God, like, no, you can't, you know, but to see my clients go through it, and they're so beautiful and put together and going places, and then they have this baggage, like, oh my God, can you not see what's happening? And you can't tell them. I mean, you can tell them, but they're not going to really listen.
I don't
and
hold
it's
back. I
really
tell them.
frustrating. Jamie tells
like,
them,
dump
see,
the
Jamie,
boyfriend,
this is where it's good, like, because Jamie can like get away with saying pretty much anything to anybody, and they will love her for it. Like if I said half the things that Jamie says, they'd be like, thanks. They listen to her.
I come from
it's awesome.
a place of complete and total love. Like I'm telling you this because you are worth more. Like
it's something about her tone though, and the way that it's, I don't know. I think it's just the way that it's presented, and plus they trust you. I mean, like they trust both of us, but they trust us in different ways. And I feel like, again, maybe the makeup artist, like, no barriers, you know what I mean?
Or no barriers. Like I have to sit on people's laps.
Like they are very, she does. She's like, I'm going to straddle you now, and I'm like, whoa,
I'm all up in your business.
And they it just instantly disarms them, which is really cool.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. You're worth it. Because I think that whenever we go out of our way to tell a young person something about themselves and build them up, in some way we're sort of telling ourselves as well. You know, and so when I see girls who maybe are struggling in ways that I did or that I do, I try to go out of my way to kind of build them up in a way that I wish I had been built up. And so, Jamie, you over the past, 2 year and a half?
Are we talking about the weight thing?
Yeah. So you have
3 years.
3 years. So tell me about, like, 3 years ago, you just thought you made that first step to lose a tremendous amount of weight. How much weight did you lose?
It total is 110 pounds.
110.
I go up and down about 5 or 6 pounds in the month, but I say, total weight loss 110 pounds.
So
that was
she
me
lost
in
a
high
person.
school. Like that's how much I weighed in high school.
And so
that's a lot.
What, going a while with all that extra weight on you, like what was the catalyst? Like what do you think kind of pushed you to that place where you're
there was an actual moment. There was a breaking point. There was a day that it all just
this is intense.
Boom. It just hit me. I was at Disneyland all day in the middle of the summer. Actually, well, maybe it was the beginning of the summer. It wasn't even that hot yet. And I had worn a skirt, like a long skirt that day. I thought, oh, airflow, I'll be nice and cool, whatever. I was there with my boyfriend and our 3 kids. And, at the end of the day, I was so exhausted, and we're walking back to the car, and I'm like dripping sweat. And I look down, and I kind of pulled up my skirt just above my ankles just to like look to see what was going on. And it wasn't sweat at this point. There was blood dripping down my legs because my thighs had been rubbing together all day. And I was bleeding, and there was sweat. And I looked at the bottoms of my feet, and they had been rubbed raw. I was in flip-flops. And I looked at my boyfriend. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm exhausted. It's not even nighttime. Like, we had left early that day from Disneyland. We didn't even stay. And I was like, I'm exhausted. I can't keep up with my kids. I can't, what was I, 28, 29 years old? I'm like, I'm dying. I'm literally dying. And I'm in my 20s. Like, I have to change my life.
So people would have that moment, and they would feel that, and they would, and I can really relate to that feeling of how did I get here? But then the next day they'd make a bagel or, so how were you able to wake up the next day and continue that feeling?
Well, it took me about a week to kind of formulate a plan. And it's not like I woke up the next day and made a bagel. It was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Because I had crippling anxiety. So, of course, you make the plans and then you never follow through. But my best friend had started doing Weight Watchers. And she said, Jamie, just do it. Like, what do you have to lose? So I started with that. And then I started cutting wheat out of my diet. And, just little by little, I started doing things, and then I formulated this hard plan. And I would not, and asked Renee, I would not deviate from this plan. I followed those rules. I set rules for myself, and eventually it just became a game, and I wanted to win. I had to win. And so now that's just my life. It's not a game anymore. That's just my life. It's just what I do. And little by little, it just came off. And it took a long time, and I'm glad that it took a long time. Because if it all happened really fast, it would have been culture shock, oh God.
It was really cool because we trek on these locations. There's some locations that I have taken Jamie to that she's like, we're never going there again. Like a 4-mile hike to a waterfall in Malibu.
I like that one.
That one's fun.
Good.
But there's a cliff involved in one of these. And so, back in the day, it was really hard for her to do this.
I had to leave the photo shoot early to get up the hill because I was so embarrassed, because I was so out of breath, and it took me so long to get up this hill. It was agonizing, and it was painful, and it was scary every single time. And I would leave early so no one would see me.
And now she's running up the damn hill ahead of all of us, and I'm hoofing it behind her.
So I think sometimes what happens with major weight loss, that I think people just focus on the weight and they don't focus on the soul and the brain. Mm-hmm. So how did you pay attention to that, or did you and not?
There's a whole. I gotta tell you, the most important thing in venturing out on this journey is you cannot start it or accomplish anything if you do not love yourself first. I have always, and I think Renee will tell you this, I've always really loved myself, even when I was 265 pounds. I felt pretty. I felt sexy. I was okay with myself. And that helped a lot. You have to
value yourself.
You have to value yourself.
But I have seen, talking about what Kim is talking about, your whole, it wasn't just a physical transformation. Yeah. I mean, I've known Jamie now for a while, and 7 years now that we're going on working together.
Yeah.
She is the same person, and she is a completely different person at the same time. I mean, I've watched her evolve and just grow so much that you guys don't even understand the level of growth that I have watched this woman go through. It has been amazing to see. Really. And you know what? She does value herself, but she also values other people a lot. And that also gives back to her. So,
well, I think when you do value yourself, you have no choice but to value others. It's just this natural
that's
thing,
what I was,
which is amazing. But, you are a social person. Yes. So
yes and no. I have massive social anxiety. Yeah. I will have a great time out in a group of people, and then I'll go home and analyze every single thing that I've said and go, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe they won't want to talk to me anymore because I said this, or I voiced my opinion too loudly, or, so it goes both ways.
Interesting. So I have a couple questions, but the
You're
first one,
wait a minute.
The first
I know you would never know that about her, but
But the first
I'm very shy. People don't know. I don't have to talk about, but I'm very shy. I'm very shy, despite the fact of some of the things I do.
Well, I'm an introvert. I mean, I'm an INTJ, so that's a very, very.
Oh God, do you not know about
the Myers-Briggs?
Yeah, Myers.
Okay, you got to do a Myers-Briggs.
I haven't even.
I'm doing one later. That's why I have to leave here.
INTJ
today. I have a meeting, and that's part of my agenda today. Is the Myers-Briggs.
A crazy person. Myers-Briggs. INTJ is the very, 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 not very many women are that, but I seem like an extrovert too. I like being out in public. But I am an introvert. At the heart of it, I like being alone. I like being to myself. So it's surprising sometimes. When you find out.
I would much rather be in my bed with, watching a movie, reading a book with a cup of tea than be out and about. It takes a lot for me to get moving, know?
So what did that look like before the weight loss, in the bed? And it wasn't a cup of tea, I assume.
No, it was not a cup of tea. It was probably a 40 of beer and,
So what did food and alcohol, like, what did it mean to you before, and what does it mean to you now?
That was, I don't want to say, food was comforting or whatever, but
Are you kidding? It's everything.
Hence the problem.
I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet, what the food was to me, what it was doing for me, really. I mean, like I said, I had such horrible anxiety, and I was borderline agoraphobic.
I think that has a lot to do with it too, because I've suffered with anxiety as well, and it numbs it. So like, I really feel like there's certain things that you can do to numb yourself: food, alcohol, sex, whatever. And yeah, food is numbing. And so like for me, because I'm on Weight Watchers now, and I've lost like 10 pounds, and every time, thanks. I told you this, like when I first started, like the first week I was like literally a nervous wreck. Like I could not handle myself because I had so much anxiety, because I have a lot going on anyway. But normally I would numb it with food and make it not be so vulnerable, because that's my thing. I don't like being vulnerable. And the more weight I lose, the more vulnerable I am, because I can't hide behind like food. Like, oh, give me that. Let me just not feel that. It's feelings for me. Like,
well, and I think
you're eating your feelings.
I think that's why I was saying before, like, I think people just think, I'm just going to lose the weight and then I'll be good again. And there's so much that comes with it. If you can't, like, if you can't figure out what your trigger is or what your comfort is or why you're doing, like, I have
you know what it is for me? Control.
Well, I was just going to say, it's control. And so I think that if you short yourself out of the opportunity to heal old wounds and that little person inside of you that started using food or whatever it is to control whatever it is you're feeling, that you're always going to be back in that same place.
I use food to nurture my family. That's how I show my love, is I cook. I cook all the time. Like,
she's an amazing cook, by the way.
Thank you. You know, I cook for my boys all the time, and there's always good food in my house, healthy and junk food. Like, you know, I'm a normal person, but that's how I control things. That's how I controlled things with myself. It was the one thing, because everything else in my life was chaos, and it was completely, you know, but I had food, and I made 3 meals a day, and it was a regiment, and it was all control.
Right.
So
the control is the healthy food, or the control was even
food
before
in
that?
general.
Food. So when it was bad habits, it was also the control.
Exactly.
And now it's the control in this other way. So
yes.
How do you do, like, I struggle with, when I'm at home, that's one thing. And I actually become more socially anxious when I'm trying to be good and I'm invited to things and I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to navigate. I'll just not go. You know, so like out for a glass of wine, or because if I have a glass of wine, like just give me the cheesecake. Like, I mean, all of my inhibitions are just gone. It's like, you should be able to just have a glass of red wine, but no, I can't.
That's why I drink Moscato now, because Moscato has a little bit of that sweetness in it, and I can get both.
Oh, so how do you navigate?
That's my fixer for you.
Nice.
Finding a balance.
I love Kim. I love your answers. That's why we do the show.
Just switch to the different type.
Just get the sweeter one, and you won't need dessert.
That's totally mine. Like I get you.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up alcohol.
Yeah.
That's totally
So
Renee.
how do you navigate when you go out, or, you know, are you just, because I feel like you either have to be like, I don't eat that, I'm telling everybody, don't even ask me.
And I don't want everyone to know that I have specifications. Like, I try to go about things under the radar. I do talk about it with people that I'm comfortable with, you know, but I'm not like,
she's not going to show up at a party and go, I am gluten free, I can't eat any of the food you have here. What else do you have for me?
Yeah,
no, it's not going to happen.
I don't like those
I go
people.
straight for
Lisa's kids brought their own food to my son's bar mitzvah. Like,
really?
Yeah.
see, it's
It happens.
Yeah, but that was just
It does.
choice.
That was. We're very picky. We cannot eat anything.
Yeah, no, I got to
but-
pick you when I get that.
But I mean, I show up to a party and I go, okay, where is the charcuterie platter? Like, I can eat, you know,
You
hard
just pulled that
salami.
word right out.
Right?
That was awesome.
Well, I love hard salami, and don't make a dirty joke. It's I like food like that. I like cheese. I like olives. I like fruit. I have made the choice to love the things I can have.
It's a choice.
Too.
Right,
It's a choice. Everything is a choice. And so that's what I go for. I don't want the cheesecake, because you know what? That's going to make me feel like crud.
right.
It really does.
And I want to have a good time. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be falling asleep, and I don't want to go home early. So I'm going to pick the stuff that's going to make me feel good. And you bet your butt, I'm going to have a glass of wine. I'm going to have my bourbon.
Yeah,
you know,
bourbon.
like So I allow myself to have those things, but it's like next day rolls around, I wake up, I eat the right thing that day.
But now, but the difference is now, though, you have the tools that if you do choose to have a piece of cheesecake, the next day you're like, I know why I ate that. I know what I can do today. And I know, and sometimes it's just moderation. I mean, I am not someone that believes that you should starve yourself of certain things, whatever it is.
That's the dumbest thing you can do.
But if you can mentally, and emotionally prepare yourself for those choices and
that's the other thing, though, is not making such a big deal out of it.
Right.
Because it's just food. It's fuel. It's, I finally had to learn and just admit to myself, I feel really good when I have a limit. I feel really good. I can do twice as much in one
boundaries.
day.
We all like boundaries.
Yeah.
But I think food is similar to money in that way, that when people get this emotional attachment to it, they abuse it. And it's not, it's like you have to kind of define these things for what they really are. Their currency, their resources, their, and to use it like that. And because I think that the more we get stressed about it and the more importance we put on it, the worse it actually gets.
Yeah. And I think it's different. Like, I think everybody has different triggers for it and different feelings about food too. Like, mine and yours are probably different, but like it depends on what you're motivated by, basically. Like you were talking about, I don't want to eat that because I don't want to feel, like crud the next day. And some people want to keep feeling bad because they don't
and they
value
don't
themselves.
even realize
and they
that
just
they want to keep.
It's just so, well, this is what I do. And they don't believe that they deserve to feel any better. So that's a whole different ballgame too. So yeah, you're right though. You have to start with liking yourself and valuing yourself.
Well, and the minute I started
important.
cleaning up everything else in my life, started washing all the dirty laundry, so to speak, like when I started just handling my business, doing better at work, doing better for myself every day, just taking care of things. The other stuff just kind of, it followed suit. Everything just fell into place. And that's what it is. It's a day by day thing. You got to figure out why you got there in the first place. Like, you got to figure out why your health is so bad. Okay, what's going on in my life that's so screwed up that really I've gained all this weight. I can't pay my bills on time. It's all that stuff. And I'm very regimented in my life, like controlled chaos constantly. I do everything on time. I'm always early. I was here a half an hour early. I've been sitting on your street waiting.
She's always early
because I would rather die than be late. And
Was that always the case?
Not always. No.
So that's since the last 3 years.
Yeah. Like,
wow.
I was never.
Yeah, no.
I was always punctual, but I just made it a point to always be early, always show up, always.
I think there are certain personalities that
it's more important to me now.
Yeah, that like if you're one to eat food to numb things. So like I'm trying to break it down a little bit. Like, you need to be obsessive over, or I shouldn't say you. I need to be obsessive over something. So whether it's like I'm like, I can't wait to have that glass of wine, and now I'm going to have a bowl of cereal, and whatever it is, like. I can't just go, I'm going to make better choices. Like, I have to get obsessive over
it's not about
the health.
that,
I have to have it scheduled. I have to have the meals prepped. I have to, because that will feed that thing inside of me that, so to speak, that needs to be fed. And sometimes it's fed with food, and when it's a more positive thing. But I mean,
see, and I'm more fed now by accomplishment. Like,
yes, and I need to. I'm
holy
you're
moly,
inspiring. So
I'm realizing I'm lazy. I'm sitting here. I'm like, okay. Last night I had some licorice. Like, today I put on my stupid pants. Like,
but I think and I've never admitted this publicly before. But I think
wait, roll the cue music.
I know. Right. When we grow up a certain way and we believe certain things about ourselves, or you're told these things about yourself, you hang on to that as your story. And so for me, I don't want to make people hate me right now, but like, I kind of have everything I want. I have work.
So you got to have something wrong with you. You can't be perfect.
Right.
Oh, she's got plenty.
No, but I have a beautiful family and constant creative work. And I have this show with Kim, and I just feel like the luckiest person alive.
Yeah.
But it would be perfect if I weren't fat. And so I feel like I keep myself in that place. So it's like that one thing that holds me back. And And even like if I were to go back to Massachusetts and to see family or something, and it's like, it doesn't matter all the things I have in my life.
Yeah.
Look, I'm fat. I'm not worth it. I'm not worthy, or I'm not important, or I'm not successful.
Well, and you have to stop saying to yourself too, "Oh, I'm fat." No, you're just heavier right now. That's just where you are in your life.
And that's what I just realized, like what I was talking about before, like that constant inner dialogue that we all have. Like I've been telling myself that I was fat my whole life when I never was.
No.
Right.
And I guess my body started to believe it, because I think, we just really do. We really do believe the stuff that we say to ourselves, and it is all coming back from something, some feeling of not feeling good enough. Somehow, somewhere, somebody made you feel like that.
Well, and I've said that, a million times. Like having a mom leave when I was young, it made me feel that I was unlovable. And so I kept seeking out relationships to just reinforce the fact that I was unlovable. So my marriage, boyfriends, all of them just kept reminding myself that that's I mean, and so, it manifests itself differently with each of us. Like I'm not an eater. I mean, I'm an eater. I eat like horrible. I just don't put the weight on. Okay, fine. But I bring other toxic things into my life because that was my message.
It's like
and no one told me that. It was
self-sabotage.
Right. Internalized.
Because there's something in there that really does believe that you deserve it. And there, that book that I told you about, remember, did you ever get that?
Which
You're a
one?
Badass.
Oh yeah, I read
that
it.
book is
That
great.
is the greatest.
Wait.
audio.
I
so
didn't read
good.
it. I listened to it
No,
because
no,
I have no time
you
to
have
read.
to. You have to buy the book. You'll want to highlight things in it. Like you'll want to make notes.
This
in
is exactly the whole like crux of the book is stop believing that stupid person in the back of your head who keeps rearing up, because every time you start making headway and you're doing well, she's going to come right back up and say, no, you don't deserve that.
Well, we do this when I talk to like a lot of the teens that I work with, even though they're just 17 or whatever. We talk a lot about like kind of healing that little person inside of you, and I think as adults we forget to do that. I mean, I don't wake up choosing and wanting to let bad things in. It's just sometimes I forget to heal that little girl inside of me that says, okay, that's not your fault, and so today we're going to make better choices because it's not your fault. But you get so caught up in like your day to day that it's easy to just fall into old patterns, and sometimes we don't even know that's happening. So I think I know that like I'm very clear. I'm very clear about why the choices and the decisions and things that have happened and what they're tied to. It's just sometimes it's hard to like undo, or to
sometimes it's easier to stay in a bad place than it is to do the work to get out of it.
Or to recognize you're in it. Like sometimes I'm much quicker. Like it used to take me, I'm just making it up, like 3 months. Now I can take 3 hours to figure out that I'm in a bad spot.
Right.
And that's good.
Yeah.
It's progress.
Good, yeah.
Hey, so if you're just joining us, this is a special episode of Broadscast. We're just doing girl talk today. So it's not just, because I think it's really important girl talk. So you're listening to Broadscast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall.
And Renee Bowen and Jamie Cox.
Renee Bowen and Jamie Cox.
I'm so glad I'm finally here.
I know, right?
So excited about it. I kept going, hey, so when are we doing that? What's going on?
And here we are. So, we talk about our stuff as grown women. And, one thing that we can't do, Renee, you have 3 teenagers. And you, Jamie, you have 2 boys.
I have 2 boys, 14 and 11.
Okay. So teen and entering that.
And preteen.
Oh my gosh. Tween. So how do you kind of experience and work through your own stuff without kind of putting it on your kids?
Okay, Ready, go, Renee.
No, I think about this a lot because I have 2 boys and a girl, and my daughter, I don't know. It's really hard because I still am very close to my mom. Even growing up, even when, I was a crazy teenager and we were fighting nonstop, my mom had me really young. And so we kind of grew up together. It's really interesting that my daughter is literally texting me right as I'm talking about her.
Oh,
like she's so psychic. It's not even funny.
She knows.
So it's a very, like I always thought, like this will be great, to have that relationship with her like I had with my mom. And I was also very adamant, like when we found out that we were going to have a girl, I had the same type of abandonment issues as you did, Kim, but with my dad.
Right.
And, I was like, she's the one, like, you need to make sure, like, and I didn't have to tell him that. I mean, like, my husband's an amazing guy and a great father, but I had to like say the words, you know what I mean? I had to like let it be known that, I'm good. Like, she's your number one. Like, that's it. You know, that's going to happen. She's going to have like this amazing dad. I'm so excited for her, you know? And she does. It's just been really interesting watching this whole like teenage thing happen, because it's very common, and, you know, it's human development, that there comes a time where you identify with that same sex parent more than the other. Now, her whole life growing up, Andrew was her person. Like, she went to him, like they were so tight and so close, and daddy's little girl. And he just, loved that relationship with her. And puberty happened, and there was a shift, like a major shift. And it has been so traumatic for Andrew. Like, I can't even explain to you the level of trauma. And I don't want to say, like, I don't want to make her feel bad, because this is normal. Like, she's not doing it on purpose. But it's really hard to watch it. But as an upside, she and I have gotten really, really close. Like, I'm her person now. Like, she texts me all the time and asks me and tells me everything. So there's this switch that happens, and he's getting through it, and she's coming back a little bit, because she's 16 now. Jamie told him the greatest advice ever. And I literally didn't even think about this. Like, no, I didn't even think about that this would be like totally why. Because I knew, studying psychology, that it's normal for it to happen, but the reasons why, I'm like, what's that all about? Because I didn't really have a close relationship with the dad, you know, so I didn't have that. And she goes, oh yeah, I was the same with my dad. She's like, I was daddy's little girl. Jamie was like, you know, love her daddy.
I love both my parents immensely, but me and my dad, we were super close growing up. But when I became a teenager, I pushed away from him. Keep going. Renee.
And I was like, why? Why did you do that? Like, what's the deal? And what did you tell me?
You guys are like, this is so fun. Like, you go, no, you go, no, you go.
I just told her, I was like, she is forming all these feelings for boys now, and her closeness with her father, it's eerie in a way. And she's backing away from him, and she's shifting those feelings to other men.
Because she can't think about boys and her dad at the same time. It mixes, and it's not good
at the same time, and it screws with something in your brain. So she's doing the right thing as a teenage girl. And eventually, with my father, I came back around, and he and I are very close now.
Yeah.
But I did not want anything to do with my father when I was a teenager.
See, it's interesting, because I was raised with my dad and my brother, and I didn't have a mom around, and so there was never a moment that
you had no choice.
I had no choice,
right? So you had to adapt.
And I think some people deal with it differently too. I think some, because I talked to a lot of people about this, because it was like
Avery's
a big deal.
Lot like me, though.
But Avery is, and I can understand that. And this is not something she could consciously say.
Right.
Like, she's like, I don't know why. I just don't. You know, it's just that's just the where she was. But yesterday he was like, Avery spontaneously gave me a hug today, and I was like, oh my god. And he was like literally floating out the door, and I was like, really? He goes, yeah. I'm like, why? He goes,
that's how
I don't know. She just said, bye, I love you, and gave me a hug, and I was like, oh. Like, he literally almost like lost his mind. And so it's really interesting to see, because we're talking about like what we like, how we don't project our own stuff into our kids, you know, how this conversation started. I've tried really, really hard my whole life to not ever say I'm fat or I'm not worthy in front of any of my kids, but especially my daughter, because I did not want her to have any issues whatsoever with body image. Like, I just didn't want any of that to happen. But I realize now that even though I didn't say it out loud, I was saying it subconsciously, and I still believed it, and it still manifested. So I still did it.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's other stuff, like throw it in the therapy jar, like throw my, you know, but she's always been really balanced as far as like knowing who she is, way more than I did at her age. So it's a process. Boys are a whole different story. My boys are they're like the sweetest.
So you're doing something right though, because she's coming to you. And she's talking to you about
comes
this
to me
stuff.
about everything.
But the other thing too is, I think as a young girl, and Kim, did you go through this at all? But like, when you start having those feelings about boys and things, you don't necessarily, you know, when sometimes you think something, especially when you're young, and you're afraid that the whole world can see.
Yes.
That you're thinking that. So imagine being a young girl thinking about boys and thinking about, you know, life in a different way, and you're daddy's little girl, and you don't want dad to see.
No.
You don't want him to see.
That's exactly
what you're, you know, like because you think that he'll be ashamed of you, or embarrassed of you, or disappointed in you, like,
or look at you in a different way.
The idea of my father being disappointed in me, I would have actually died. Like, everything inside me would have just died.
See, that's how I felt about my mom. Yeah, I couldn't disappoint her. Like, I couldn't.
Yeah. And that's what was super important to me with my dad is my dad is the most candid man. Like he is all out there with everything with me. There is no holds barred. Like if he thinks it, he's going to say it to me. And that's why I appreciate my father so much because he's not going to, sugarcoat anything with me.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I felt about boy. Like I don't really have any memory of that. I just remember with my dad and my brother that like they always warned me that boys think with their penises. Mm-hmm. And so I had like they think with their other head, penises are bad. I mean, that's how I So I didn't and I don't really remember.
Were you really close? Like I know you're close to your dad. Obviously, I love your dad. Yeah. But like were you really close to him and did you tell him everything that you were doing?
My dad absolutely. I mean, first time I had sex, my dad took me to get my bra. Like I went down when I had my period. We went
so cool.
But I didn't have any other. There was no. But we're very small. It was my dad and my brother. That was it. Like. Yeah. So I didn't know that was any other way. So like my girlfriends were like, "You talked to your dad about that?" And I'm like, "What?"
See, that's what I'm saying.
I have nobody else.
Exactly.
And my dad never shunned it. My dad cried when I got my period. Yeah. I'm like, why are you crying? Yeah. Like, I didn't know. I'm like, Dad, there's blood in the toilet. And he's like, oh, my baby just turned into a woman. I'm like, wait, what did I do? Like, I had no idea.
Like,
I
accomplished something and I didn't even know it.
But like, I don't remember ever having a sex talk. I don't really. Yeah. It just is what it is. It just was.
And that's awesome. And that's what Andrew's mourning the loss of because he wishes he could have that relationship with her. But because I'm here, she doesn't have to. Like, she's not, you know what I mean? Like, she's not going to talk to us both about it. Like, hey, let's get together and talk. She's going to talk to me and then I'll fill him in and they can have a conversation.
Well, see, like with my,
he's sad about that. I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Well, like with my son, because we don't, it's just my kid, Sam and I in the house. Like, I feel like, I worry that he's not going to have some of that stuff, like the transfer of of attention to parents. Like I feel bad. Like it's, I said to someone yesterday, like I'm recreating my own history for my kid. And it's like to try not to project your stuff is really hard. But it is what it is, And so like I tell my son, like, this is what I know about penis. This is what I know about jock itch. Like, and what I don't, we're going to Google
okay.
And you have two boys. So but you've had men and like your boyfriend, like
I haven't brought men in and out of my kids' lives.
Right, but you would live. I mean, you had someone. Right.
I was with the same guy for 6 years. Right. And but what I was going to say is this is where my relationship with Renee is super important because she is the one who told me as my kids were getting older and getting into being teenagers. She was like, "You need to have open dialogue all the time. You need to talk about everything constantly," and that's how she was doing stuff. And now that like totally carried over into the way I'm parenting. Mm-hmm. And I am so thankful that she said all these things and told me these things like, Jamie, you have to blah, 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 blah.
You have to have those difficult conversations.
And you know what? Me and my older son, we're not super tight friends. And it's because we are so much alike. He's like my clone. Yeah. He's really moody and he's really dramatic. And I'm like, oh, you're me. And so we're not super close. And so he and I always have that. He's like, oh, you hate me or you love Joe more than you love me. And I'm like, dude, wrongo bongo. I love you so much. Like I love you equally. I'm just, me and your brother are just buddies. Like that's okay because we get along better.
Because he's easier. It's hard to see yourself.
And I tell them that I'm like, this is a personality thing. This isn't a mommy loves me more. Right. It's not about that. So
and you parent different. Like you kind of have to parent your kids a little differently, obviously.
Absolutely.
And that's hard for them to see that when they're young. Like you have to do that. Mm-hmm. But I think as little kids, they're like, well, what my oldest has special needs. He has Asperger's, and so. Well, and his technical diagnosis is autism, but he's just like progressed so much that, he's just come a long way. But as a kid, and we never really parented him any different. We pushed him. We held him to a lot of, the same standards as the other kids were held to. We never let him get off the hook for too much stuff. Right. Mm-hmm. And I felt really good about that. Like I felt really good about like, no, we were still firm. We were that is not the way the twins see it at all. Mm-hmm. At all.
No, they will.
Like,
when they're older,
no. You parented him completely different. He got away with so much, and he still does. And I'm like,
he's a different person.
And you know what my answer was? I was like, well, you don't have autism, so be thankful. Ta-da! But seriously, whatever. Like seriously, his challenges. He's got challenges that he's gonna live with forever. Be thankful you don't have those challenges.
I tell my kids that I parent them differently. I said, here's the thing. If we were all if the three of you were in the ocean, right? All of you fell off the boat. One of you has a life preserver, another has a boat, and one is swimming. Who do you think I'm going for first? And you know what? The person who's swimming is constantly changing. So I will be there for you when you are swimming in the ocean and you need to be saved.
Yes.
It will change, and I will do that for you. But sometimes it's not you.
See, that's
and you
how I
need to
feel
get the
about my
hell over
older one.
yourself.
I do not worry about my older one as much as my younger one.
Right.
Because he is so independent. I have no doubt.
But do you tell him that? Like, because you see the strength
I tell him
and
all
like,
the time. I'm like, I don't need to helicopter around you all the time. The other one, he's the most fragile little skinny, emotional, he's not like a mess or anything. He's very strong. He just needs a little more,
Right. Yeah. That's what I tell him too. I tell him, not that analogy, but basically that's a good one.
That's really good. I like that one.
But because they don't see it, Yeah. And it's true. With 3, I mean, like, they're so, like, it's like hormone soup in my house all the time.
Well, we have actually gone over. So I wanted to kind of end with one final thing. So let's go back to the fact that you guys see these seniors or soon to be seniors sometimes on these photo shoots and their moms and this and that. If you could think of a few tips that you would give some of these moms that you can't really say to them there to help build up the self-esteem of these teenagers, what would they be?
Honestly, I think there's a lot of stuff that you can try and do for kids, but I think I tell you this all the time. Like if at the end of the day they know and like they really know that they're loved no matter what they do, like they're very much okay who they are. That's not just like, oh, you're perfect the way you are. Not just saying it, but like really living it and saying that they're good enough and letting them just be who they are. I think a lot of parents also think of their kids as possessions, and I've just never done that. I don't understand. Like, they're not mine. I'm just here as this guide. I am here to help them get to the people that they came here to be. Mm-hmm. They're not my possessions. And I think a lot of parents...
It's my mini me. I hate when people do that. That's not
there's
your
so
mini.
many moms.
They're their own person.
So many moms that we come in contact with who literally are like their kids' personal assistant. Mm-hmm. They are... Mm-hmm. It's like something to witness. And it's like... here they are. And then they go off to college and it's like, what am I going to do with myself now? Because that was my, that was my life. Yeah. That's not a good thing. Yeah, like, stop enmeshing yourself with your kids' lives so much. That's my main thing. What's yours?
My just telling your kid, you're good enough. You are good enough. Right now doesn't matter. Like, this time in your life, you'll get through this and things only get better from here. But you're good enough. You're always good enough.
It's interesting though what you say, like, right now doesn't matter. So because I'm totally with you where you're like, this seems huge, right? But it does matter. It's all they have. It's everything.
It is.
So it's like, how do you help them? Because I want to do that. I want to go. And I remember hearing that, like, this high school crap's going to mean nothing to you later. Yeah. Well, it means a lot to me right now. So how would you get them through the now?
Well, yeah, I'm dealing with a lot of that. My teenagers, I mean, like, ask her, every day it's something else. And it usually has something to do with other kids that I can't call names right now, that I just want to punch in the face. Like, literally, I've never wanted to physically assault a teenager more in my life than I do now. And it's not my teenagers, it's other people's teenagers. Because they're awful. They're awful. I mean, like, awful. And even the kids that you've known since 5th grade that you never thought would pull something like this on your child, they do. And you have to be the voice of reason and not the one freaking out. Right. It's so hard for me. Like, some parents, I think, deal with it much better than I do. I have a really hard time not telling my kids exactly what I think of that kid. Like, I can't hold my tongue. And I think that's good to a point because they see that I'm human, but I also need to, like, reel it back in and just keep them in that moment and say yes. And I think the biggest thing you can do is validate that it is important to them. Yes, this is a big deal and it feels like the end of the world and it feels like it's never going to change. I get that. I remember that you're completely validated in that feeling. Yes. And I will also tell you that you're going to get through it.
I retract
basically
what
all
I
I
said
do.
before. That's more what I was going
No,
for
but you know what? It is very hard because we go back to, not projecting our stuff on our kids. We want them to know that it's going to be better,
Yeah.
but sometimes it isn't.
God,
and we do
no.
that with a lot of the kids that we work with at the
only
Youth
imagine.
Project that have horrible relationships with their parents. And I look at it, I'm like, you know what? You're probably always going to have a horrible relationship with your parent because your parent is a douche.
Yes.
And so,
But that's not their fault,
But it's
and
not
they
their
need
fault.
to know
so
that.
but the coping mechanisms and the
Yeah.
balance and the structure and the how to articulate your needs
Right.
and how to separate yourself and categorize, like those are life lessons,
Life strategies,
life
too.
strategies. And
Yeah.
so I try not to forecast too
Yeah.
much because there are certain things that our kids have to learn. And one of the things that we've noticed with the Youth Project is how incapable our kids are of coping. And so it's really been
Yeah.
interesting. And I don't know if it's because we do everything for our
Yep.
kids. We want to fix everything.
Yep.
Our kids have no concept.
Nope.
And so we really work with our students on how to cope and how to
That's
manage
awesome.
what you're currently, because it's going to come up again. It's going to
Yeah.
come up in your with your boss. It's
But
going to
you
come
know
up in
what?
college. It's going to come up with
normalizing the fluctuations of life though,
Totally.
and that's a big thing that I have with my kids because I mean in the past couple of years we have gone through a lot, and I just keep telling my boys, I'm like, people coming in and out of your life is normal, and it's okay to be sad. It's okay to move on. It's okay to. I'm trying to normalize change and normalize the feeling
and teach you how to cope,
And
because
teach
as
them how to
and
cope with
as you
that.
go through life and
Yes.
as you mature and as you meet different people, it's going to change and they're going to challenge you, and how you coped with one person
Every
is going to be
situation is a
different.
gift.
And so it's really and that's again
all
going
about
back to
coping
what you
skills.
always say is that it's a reflection of yourself, and it's a reminder. Like I get when we started the show, you both said that what the students bring to you.
Yeah.
That's how I feel with the work that I do. Like I'm reminded every day, like, oh, this is how you communicate. This is how you cope.
Yeah.
This is how you, and I tell my staff, you're going to have better relationships by the end of your internship. Your marriages
Absolutely.
are going to be better because we're constantly going to be talking about coping and discipline and balance and moderation and
Yep.
all that stuff. That's like life lessons. And, there you go.
and there it is. There we have
Well,
it.
thank you both so much for being on the show. I think that it's really great to just have these conversations.
And we thought we were talking about makeup today, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
can
we're
come
gonna
back.
and we're gonna have you back because I also
that
want to
I've
do a
done it.
video with you, and you can teach us like some simple makeup tricks that especially we're all busy, so like take 5 minutes. Like, what can we do in 5 minutes? What can we do in
Absolutely.
15
I
minutes?
love that I'm
You
looking
know?
and the three of you have full makeup and I'm like, I think I put lotion on.
You're
So people can find you,
No, I
Renee.
guess I'm finding that interesting. I'm like, I didn't find the 5 minutes today.
Right? I
So
almost
people
showed up
can
in my
find you,
jammies.
Renee, at reneebowen.com. Yes. And then and on Facebook at Renee Bowen Photography.
Basically, Renee Bowen across the board. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's, yeah.
And Jamie, you have a new website. I checked it out. It's very cool.
It's a beautiful website. My website is jamiecoxmakeup.com.
Yep.
JAMI, no E. No E.
Fancy.
But we'll put all that on our website
Thank
too.
you.
We will.
Thank you.
so
It was
much.
So much fun.
And we
Yay.
will talk to you next time.
Adios.
You are listening to Broadscast. For more from the Broads, head to broadscast.com.